Good evening to everybody. Thanks. I say thank you in advance for everybody that has come on tonight. At this time, we're going to have our invocation, Rosa, House of the Craft.
God, we want to take this opportunity to thank you for this time. We thank you for everybody that represents here. We thank you for our veterans. God, we thank you for everything that we do for the school board. Let us do it and let us be productive. God, we thank you for the chair and the superintendent and his cabinet. We thank you for everything in the name of Jesus. We give you glory. We give you honor. We praise your name because you are worthy to be praised. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Before we have the approval of the agenda, we have two motions that need to be made.
Madam Chair, I move the table based on policy reviews the following policies to December from the consent agenda, which is policy 1310-4002, policy 3210, and policy 7300.
Okay, the motion on the floor to table 1310-/4002, 3210 and 7300 to December's meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Madam Vice Chair?
I make a motion to amend the minutes for October 10th and bring it back on in December's meeting for necessary corrections.
Motion on the floor to amend October minutes to December's meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So next on the report is the chair's report. I want to highlight Miss Deborah Davis Carpenter, but she's not here tonight, and Mr. Mario Malavunga. So they'll be here at our next meeting. So I do want to say that tomorrow night, we're going to be celebrating our veteran men and women at 6 o'clock at our Digital Learning Center. So we're excited about it. They're excited about it. We had about maybe 30, 35 people to sign up. So keep us in your prayers as we celebrate them on tomorrow night. So that's about it that I have for my report. Do we have any public comment?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have public comment?
No, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to ask that that the cabinet and Dr. Shotwell and everyone keep our former board member, Delamena, in your prayers. She lost her granddaughter last week, and her funeral was Sunday. And that family was just really going through. Her granddaughter was 24, and she was a 20, and she went to Hope High School, and she lost her. And so just keep that family in your prayers, please.
Keisha's in the chair. You didn't say anything about Keisha. Because of her own.
Yeah, but is she on yet? Okay, and also Keisha Gill, our board member, she lost her aunt. That's why she's not here on tonight. They're gonna be funeralizing her on tomorrow evening. So also keep her in your prayers for her loss. Okay, so I believe we need to go back and approve the agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. So next on the agenda is, so we're not gonna do policy 1310, so 3210. Dr. Shotwell, can you talk about those? Or you?
I can. So, for the consent agenda, after the policies that were recommended to be revised by the policy committee, we'll need a motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda, which are the minutes for the special called meeting on October 19th. Policy 3540, which is comprehensive health education and was presented to you guys at the last board meeting. 4720 student surveys and 6120 student health surveys. So those are the remaining items on the consent agenda that need approval.
Can I
Madam
get a
Chair.
motion? Go ahead.
You said 3540, 4720, 6120?
Mhm.
Madam Chair, I move to approve policy numbers 35, 40, 4720, and 6120.
And the minutes from, the October 19th meeting, we need to approve stuff. Yep,
Special meeting.
yeah, the special one. You add that, revise your.
And the special meeting.
And the special minutes for October 19.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. So let's see. Okay, so Dr. Fallon, okay, for our information item, month-to-date financial statement as of October 31st, 2023, by Ms. Richardson.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Trying to Zoom things.
Okay, so our budget was finally approved, the initial budget. And we fared okay. We lost some things, and that may not be our final cut, but we're hoping they don't hurt us much more. So we lost 13 teaching positions, and based on our numbers, our ADM, we may lose more, and we're hoping that they just don't do that. So we also lost some of our disadvantaged funding, and it may look as if we've got more, but it's based on the raises and everything like that. So that's why it looks like it. They compensated us for the 4% and the teacher raises they gave us, but they basically took away an assistant principal position, and we're gonna fight that one and see if we can get that back. Okay, so
I don't see an attachment for this, if there's
Yeah.
supposed to be slides for this one.
Yes, no, I don't see one on yours.
Sorry.
okay, so in our classroom teachers, we were given $28,000, 28 million, I'm sorry, $324,490. But just remember that we're not based on dollars, we're based on positions, okay? Our central office administration, we were given $744,947. And we had already started spending that because of the first resolution that we did to be able to spend, to open up the school year like we're normally, so we can pay, salaries. Okay, so I'll just continue reading. So, 07 and 06, last year we were only given $28,000 for our 06 position. It was basically supposed to house psychologists. This year they changed it to health. So now it has 22 positions in it, and we're supposed to house our psychologists, which we have two. And it also is supposed to house our guidance counselors and our social workers if there's space. So 06 and 07, 07 was for instructional support, and we had 40 positions, I believe, last year, but this year they changed it to 22 because they moved half that staff into 006. And that works out for us because in 07 is our media specialist and some social workers, and then maybe next year they'll give us more in the health sciences because that's becoming really big. Okay, in '09, that is just in and out, so that's how we pay our annual leave. We have our driver's training, which we were given the same that we had last year, $167,000. In our 13, we were given $3,260,568. In 14, $139,848. In the summer reading, we had leftover $40,000, $40,906, which needed to be spent immediately by the end of October, so we took care of that. Our foreign exchange has not been updated yet. Some of the things have not dropped yet. So we have to do a conversion. We have to do position conversions. We have to take some of our O1 positions and move them into 20 for our international facility. So that form has just come out, so we're working on that this week. Like I said, our disadvantaged student supplement has gone down just slightly. We now have $2,645,161. Our teacher assistants remain basically the same, $3,015,938. Our 29, which is our behavioral support staff, last year it only housed 3 people. So they did they wrote a grant for it, they was hoping that it would go up this year. We haven't heard from that yet. So hopefully they will house 6 instead of 3. But like I said, we haven't heard yet. Our 31 low wealth, supplement was $7,618,666. Our exceptional children, $5,953,203. Our academically gifted, we got $515,088. For our school resource officers, which was 39, which carried over from last year, was $41,000. So hopefully we'll get someone in that position this year. Our 42 child and family support, that hasn't dropped yet. Neither has our child and family support. So I'm gonna move down to the next one that was dropped. In our LEP, limited English proficiency, we received $598,215. 55 has not dropped yet. Transportation we did get more money for transportation, but remember our bus drivers' income has gone up. Also, they're changing the rules and regulations for that, so more to come for that. So they gave us $3,215,519. Our classroom materials, $340,368. Our alternate program schools, we have $36,912.34. Our at-risk students, $2,669,208.66. And 71, $3,131,801. And that was basically for our state, in which you'll be able to see more when I do the second part. And then in our local 2, which we have in our non-instructional support, $1,363,112.78. I wish you guys could see this. In maintenance, in operations, we have $3,218,318,385. In 17, which is our voc ed program, we have $170,710. 26, we only have leftover from last year, carryover from last year, which we should be getting 30,000 more once we finish that budget. So right now, sitting in there is $20,896.99. Preschool, we have $95,632, and then our all of our federal programs have dropped, except we're still waiting for 118 and 119. So all of them have dropped. And once you see this, I'm gonna make sure I get you a copies. You will see some negatives in there, and that's only because either the funds have not dropped or we had carryover from last year that we had to spend this year. So I'm gonna have to go in and fix that. And then, of course, our local aid funds is basically, has grants. And that is a restricted fund. So right now we're sitting with, In our human resources local, we have $32,726.34. Public relations, $105,108. In our transportation of pupils local, $130,589. In our curriculum and instruction, $28,283.96. And like I said, most of these are based on grants that have come in.
Melina,
Yes,
for the disadvantaged, do we have less disadvantaged students?
no, well, it's based, the formula, they have a formula they use. And other finance officers are not sure what has happened to this formula. But of course, our funds will drop slightly because our ADM has dropped.
Okay.
So, yeah. So like 247 students down.
Okay, so let me ask you this. For the summer monies that we have that we need to spend immediately, is that restricted?
No, that was state money and we spent it on, we bought, things to use this summer.
Okay.
Mhm.
Things like what?
It was phonics kits, yes. Any other questions? Thank you.
Madam Chair, I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Just to clarify, when you say we lost 13 teachers, we lost because of the budget.
The ADM.
We didn't
because of
have
the
13
students.
teachers just quit.
No, we
Okay.
we still have quite a few vacancies, sir. But we lost 13 positions because of our ADM is not as high as it was. Like, I think the other meeting, Dr. Shotwell discussed how they held it harmless during COVID years. So once COVID years went away, they actually counted the actual students that we had.
Thank you. So these 13 positions, are they specific to specific curriculum, specific to schools or school?
Well, we basically hit the elementary schools, and that's because the kindergarten numbers are not up as they should be. So we had classrooms that were sitting with less students than they should have had. So they kind of combined the classrooms. So we were trying to do it that way, so we wouldn't have to fire anybody. So we just kind of combined classes and just didn't fill those vacancies.
Thank you.
Well, why do we have less, and you probably, less kindergarten students, and you gotta put those students together to have a class, but then we have so many disabled students and we can't find teachers to find them to split them up?
Yeah, that's an absolutely great question. But, if you look at the 13 positions, it was almost, I think, around 138 kindergarten kids that we were short. So if you divide that by, what's the ratio, is it 16 or 17?
66.
So if you divide 16 into that tells you where the lion's share of the teacher cuts from the state to us came from. It was just off the mark, kind of across the board with that. And honestly, even though they track birth rates and those kinds of things, guessing what your kindergarten's gonna be the next year is truly just a guess. Previous districts that I've worked in, we've just taken whatever we've had in kindergarten this year, we would predict that's what we're gonna get the next year.
What about pre-K? Wouldn't that be a prediction?
No, ma'am, because the pre-K is a small fraction of the number of kindergartners that actually start school with us. We could look at the different pre-K private schools that we have, but it still doesn't account for all of it.
I have a question. I don't know if it's for you or Ms. Danny. Like, we have a lot of vacancies, right? What do we do with the funds? What happens to the funds for the vacancy?
Well, when we have a lot of vacant positions, we move the majority of our teachers into 001, which is position-based and not money-based. So therefore, the money that's left in the other things are left there to spend for the school needs. If that makes sense.
It does, and I start thinking about, since we have such a like a lot of teachers doing extra duties and maybe like helping with the substitute teachers. Could we use that money as a stipend to help those teachers that is overburdened with the other classes and stuff? That's just a question that I have in my mind as being a former teacher. Like, you know, I heard it like, they're doing a lot, they're doing more than what just a regular teacher does. They stepping over, and that's what we supposed to do as being teachers. So the money for the vacancies, can that money be used to maybe like give them a stipend or something?
It's, an easy answer would be yes. But what you'd have to do, we'd have to make sure that we come up with kind of guidelines so that it's consistent across the board. Because, you know, teachers by nature, we're giving people and we're gonna give everything we've got. And that's what our teachers are doing, helping out with these other classes. But what you have to do is like what Ms. Richardson was saying, we move as many teachers into the state positions. Then we would deal with any other state positions that we might have, monies, and then federal. And then the last that we would want to touch is the local, because that's the only one that we can carry over from year to year. But, you know, low wealth could be a possibility for looking at something like that. Also, the disadvantaged student fund could be another one that we could look at as a possibility. So I didn't say no. How about that? Yeah. It's a good question.
Madam Chair, can we direct the school administration to upload this spreadsheet to the agenda later on so it can be accessible by the public?
It'll be visible by the public after this board meeting. We'll make it public tomorrow. Madam Chair, is it okay if I mention one more thing? I just simply wanted to tell the people of Hope County and the board how much of a wonderful person that you have in Ms. Richardson. She has stepped in and done an outstanding job. I've worked with two experienced finance officers and trained two others, and she's at the top of the class. And I just want you all to know that you got a true gem here, because she understands what it means to try to stretch a dollar as far as it goes. My hat's off to you and your staff.
Next on the information item is the CC Partnership Agreement and the MOU with Sand Hills Community College. Who's gonna put it in there? Dr. Dawn Ramsey.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, superintendent, and cabinet, and guests. I just want to take a few minutes to talk a little bit about the partnership agreement. So the state board went on a policy last year, October, that said that there had to be a CCP partnership agreement for all of our dual enrollment program for high school students. And that allows them to enroll in our college courses and at the community college, and also have those high school courses. And so in order to implement this, the state board is asking that districts develop an agreement with the entity that they will be working with, and be making that effective by December 2023. And so I'm just gonna take a few minutes to highlight a couple of things in this partnership agreement, and it's with Polk County Board of Education and Sand Hills Community College. And this is gonna cover our San Hope Early College as well as Hope High School, so all of our students from both of those. And so what you'll notice is really it just outlines about the dual enrollment, talks about students who are qualified, and that the students are Hope County students will meet the same qualification as typical Sand Hills students, and that our students will have those meet those entrance guidelines and participate in the same types of registration drop ad. They're essentially another student, just like if they had enrolled in Sand Hills on their own. It also outlines that our Hope County students are able to participate in in-person classes, online classes, classes at the Sand Hills campus, the Hope Center, and even those that are held at Hope High. It also talks particularly about the support and making sure that our students are able to transition into those college level courses by way of a coordinator, and that's one of the agreements and one of the pieces that the state board has asked that we put into this. And so there is a coordinator for on both campuses to make sure that our students are successful in Sand Hills.
Madam Chair, when you say in both campuses, the coordinators are going to be actually the college locations, or do we have one at the high school?
So when I say both campuses in that case, I'm speaking, and they do go to the other campus, but they're at the high school and at both schools. However, they will go to Sand Hills, they follow up with them in courses, they check on them, they see how they're doing. So really, when I say following them, specifically looking at even their academics, having conversations, making sure they're in the right courses, things of that nature.
You're the liaison.
Who is that person?
Kimberly McMillan.
Kimberly McMillan, she's employed by Sand Hills. So it goes on to talk about students who go to Sand Hill campus. They have access to all of the buildings that Sand Hills students have. They can park there just like Sand Hill students. They have ID. So all of those things. So really, essentially, just outlines all of the rights and privileges that students have, who they're Hope County students, but they have access to Sand Hills just as any other Sand Hills student. So they truly are duly enrolled. Talks about a little bit about the calendar for the purposes of the agreement that we have. Our students who are in the WCE CCP courses, their calendar is a little different. It's aligned to our high school calendar, but for all the other calendars, it's aligned to Sand Hills College calendar. There is no tuition and fees. There's no any fees that the students have to pay. This is students have free access to this, which is great because it does afford them an opportunity to earn those college courses that they can take with them or use toward whatever degree that they eventually obtain. All of the college courses are taught by faculty members of Sand Hills. So they are, and there's no obligation or financial obligation of Hope County School Board. We do some in-kind types of things, but there's no financial obligation with this agreement. Any questions that you have?
So I have I don't have a question, and maybe Dr. Shotwell, since he was a principal, can, answer this. But I'm trying to figure out, Sand Hills, if you have a 2.0, you that's a C, right? But to get into the classes here, Hope High requires, and I don't think it's a state thing. I think is it a state thing?
Mm-hmm.
A 3.0.
2.8.
2.0, a 2.8. Well, but we used to require here, not a 2.8, a 3.0, or if the principal says so, you know, if, say for instance, you had a 2.7 or a 2.6, you know, but you were a good student, and you just, you know, you just didn't come through that semester, you could talk to the principal. If the principal sort of knew you, then he can sign off on you. I do know that.
Yeah, and that really applies more to the CTE courses when they have that, but the 2.8 is a statewide.
It was curriculum.
Yeah.
Because it was.
Well, I will just say this, they've also looked at testing to see where the student's ability level might be, so they can be successful in the class too. And, you know, we're also looking at the possibility of doing, English,
111?
111, 112, so that they can take some of the, community college classes
And equivalent.
and get dual credit for junior English and senior English. And, I mean, it's, because that's kind of what our Sandhill, our Sandhill kids do. So, and that would help us also address some of the issues that we're having with vacancies.
Right, and we need more classes, to be frankly honest with you.
Yeah.
And I am an employee of Sandhill. We need more college classes here on this campus. We have about 4 or 5, I mean, you know.
Well, they've been, I don't want to steal your thunder. I'm gonna let you tell her what we've been doing.
We didn't, I met with a team from Sand Hills, and we talked about the need for some additional courses, and so for several reasons, but to help with support the high school and give students opportunities.
Great, so those 54 early graduates, I'm gonna grab.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're going to move on to the memorandum of understanding, and that is specifically between Sand Hills and it covers Sand Hook Early College, specifically as a cooperative innovative high school. And so how this is different, remember Sand Hook was also covered in the partnership agreement. This is particularly for more of the facilities, maintenance, security, because they are on Sand Hills property. And so it talks about classroom facilities, it talks about the campus facilities, food service facilities, of course, campus safety and things of that nature. So it really does speak more to facilities than the CCP. Any questions about the memorandum of understanding?
It's a great memorandum of understanding.
Anybody have any questions for her? All right, thank you, Dr. Angela. Right.
Madam Chair, there's 2 documents in here.
I think it's the same.
Polk County School Partnership Agreement and Polk County, the other ones, I looked at it, it doesn't look the same. Is it the same?
It's the same to me.
It's a partnership for the high school with CCP, because the CCP is already included with the early college. But the MOU is about the facilities and how we operate and exchange funds with them.
So you guys talk about that,
It looks like the same document got copied twice onto the agenda.
Yeah, that's
so
what I
it's
thought.
just a duplicate. Yeah.
But there are 2 documents in the one,
So it is
They
the
are
same?
2 separate
It is,
documents.
yeah.
but they got uploaded twice,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. The other one
Those two are the
is
same,
supporting
but
links or something.
CCP, the supporting link.
You see the little one at the end.
Okay.
Let's make it.
How about that?
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is camera installation, the switches, you doing that? Okay. All right.
So what you have before you is your, the camera bid for the camera project, replacing and upgrading the cameras here at the high school. That does include all of the high school with the exception of Gibson, but it does include the football field area. So the bid was put out, and we did have two companies to reply to that bid. One was in telecom and the other was Encore. We looked at both in telecom and Encore. The reason that we chose Encore to be the one that we would recommend is that the Intellicom bid did not provide a conduit for all of the wiring and possibly the labor with it. So there was some more for us to do with respect to the project. It would not have been turnkey. Encore would be turnkey. And we were not able to get the desired Meraki switches that we would normally, that we wanted. We would get them with Encore, but not in telecom. And on top of that, it came in $74,344.62 above Encore and still not being able to provide all of the required components. So for Encore, it is turnkey with the exception of we will be removing the existing cameras. The reason that we will be removing those existing cameras is because we will be reusing those existing cameras, some of the more up-to-date IP cameras that we have. So we'll be able to take them and move them to other schools. It does include all the wiring, the conduit, the switches. It is a cloud-based camera system, so it's not something that we necessarily have to put our hands on once it's put in. All of that can be done remotely with power or PoE, which is power over Ethernet. It'll get it from the internet. The power will come that way from our switches. So everything will be put on its own camera network and we'll be managing it that way. And it came recommended, this company was also recommended. We always check into other districts who have used them and they were very pleased with their service as well within our region. So the total dollar amount for Encore came in at $427,426.52. So that is the company that we are recommending tonight.
So Dawn, if we get this camera, are we gonna have some extras for the new building that we think about that?
So we had talked with the builders and talked about what we will be using here. So they will be, it won't be, we did not get extra, but we will,
It will be,
it will be the same system.
okay.
Yes.
With the second bid, you do not recommend, if you have any information that we could physically see ourselves.
Yes, ma'am.
This is just Encore. And although you said telecom.
In telecom. Yes, ma'am.
It's not, it don't come with a whole lot of things. Could we actually see it?
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
We'll get it emailed to you in the morning.
So our concern was, Dr. Stewart, was that, okay, the camera system, the hardware was $227,699. So at the time when this was presented to us back in June, we did not know that the wiring was gonna come separate. We weren't told that. And then, y'all had a bid. We didn't know anything about it. So you had this bid, you said you had two people to bid. Again, we didn't know anything about it, but you all chose someone that's $172,000 to do wiring. So this total thing is costing us $427,426. So, I mean, that's a concern. I don't know about the district board, but it's a concern for me. So.
Dawn, what other districts have you spoken with about on call.
I don't have that with me, and I did not personally speak with them. Ben, was heading up this project for me, so I did not speak with them. So I can't tell you that I spoke with him, but I can get his notes and grab that and let you know.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
I just think that we should get some more information before we go farther with this. That's my recommendation.
I would definitely like to see Telecom.
In telecom,
I
yes,
mean,
ma'am.
I understand that it doesn't come with all that, but
Right.
I would like to
Yes.
see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam Chair, was this money COVID money or was this just,
This was local dollars that were budgeted for this project.
Okay.
Dawn, let me ask you this, let me sit down. How much was budgeted for this project from local dollars?
If I remember correctly, it was 750,000.
And how much is
650,000.
this? How much?
650.
And how much is this?
427.
All right, okay, so now we're down at the action items. Project manager contract for the high school replacement project.
Madam Chair, apologize that Dr. We can go back to, this work here. So my question regarding the information items, item number 3, are we bringing this back again to the next month? 'Cause- Okay.
Okay,
Good evening, Madam Chair, board members, and guests in the audience. The purpose of tonight's request here is for you to approve the project manager contract from Mr. John Barath, who represents BMAG, as it relates to our building, or the new building here on Hope County campus. The contract is linked into the description here under this item, but just to kind of recap what all is entailed in this project or in this contract, is that it is roughly $250,000 approximately, and that does take course through the construction phase as well as through the post-construction phase. Some of the highlights there during the construction phase is that Mr. Barath would attend various meetings throughout the construction phase. He would also review contracts, materials list, pertinent information as it relates to the building and what's going into the building, and sharing that information with not just cabinet members, but to the board members and to other stakeholders as well. Also go in and review some of the budget line items that are being presented at the time, and to make sure, or to help ensure that we are staying on track with the budget. Also to help with the procurement of any technology that may be needed, to do some type of work to help complete inspections, assist with final project inspections, assist with the installation, or review the installation of the furniture, equipment, and other procurements as necessary, but also to provide monthly board updates. And then whenever you look at the post-construction phase, and those are separated out, the cost of the construction phase is $227,400, and the post-construction phase is $23,000. And during that post-construction phase, that also does include attending board meetings, other meetings as well to provide information as it relates to the project and its timeline and how things are going. But also to help log warranty information and, assist with any type of inspections that may need to be done. And again, assist with the development of presentations to the board members, to help you stay up to date on that pertinent information. And again, the approximate price is $250,400, and there are timeframes that Mr. Barath would actually come and be on site during the construction phase. And Mr. Barath is also, back in the audience with us again this evening. That's it.
Just like, this is a contract that was approved by Pointer School's legal team. So it has all the required components that you would need as a school board, to protect yourselves.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Hunt. Anybody have any questions for him? All right, thank you, Dr. Hunt.
Thank you.
You had a question, Rosa?
I was just wondering, was it an action item?
It is.
Yes.
I couldn't pull up my stuff for some reason.
I know.
Madam Chair,
Mm-hmm.
on, item 12,
What's that item 12? Say it again.
doesn't have a page number, I'm just looking at item 12 of the, page. Which says, criminal background checks. It's, line number, and it's got board. Should that be the board?
Yes, so you guys are entering this contract as the board.
But my question is, shouldn't the word "the" be before the board?
Either way, if you guys would prefer it to say the board, we
It
can
just-
make that happen, but board is
I'm
fine.
just going for consistency because I see the board everywhere else except for just few locations.
Okay,
Like, for example, right, a few sentences above that, it says, if the board chooses, reads better.
okay, yeah, we can make that consistency. I'll make a note to that and we can finalize it, with the consistency change. Thanks for pointing that out. I'll make a note of that. And, yeah,
Those of you who don't see it yet, I think we had it in our package. Did you get one? No. I'm trying to figure out, she's not able to print it yet.
That's national.
Okay. Darn, I guess I need my iPad.
It's written. Any more questions? So you wanna, have a motion to,
Madam Chair,
approve?
I move to approve the Hope County Board of Education contract for project management support services.
Second.
Okay. Anything else changes going on?
it's a technical change. No, it doesn't change the substance.
Okay. All right, so motion on the board to approve the Polk County Board of Education contract for the project manager support services. Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next on the agenda is GMP package Number 2, approval for Hoke High School replacement project.
Good evening, everyone.
Wait, give everyone a copy. So I do just have the 10 copies there, Dr. Shotwell. Should be enough, though, I think.
Oh, thank you. Rosa. Rosa.
Are you signed
Did I sign in as you? Yeah. I'm signed in, I have my stuff, I just can't download. I did that. I did that. It's almost impossible. I gotta come here.
Anybody who needs one have a copy? Good, all right, I'll get started. Good evening again, everyone. So if you'll flip past the cover page, kind of want to break down this process that we've been on to date to give the clarity. So if you see at the bottom of the page where it says the original contract sum was $318,000, that was our pre-construction agreement that we entered into roughly over a year ago. Net changes by previous change order, that was GMP 1. So that was your GMP for your site work and your steel and your concrete that was approved roughly 2.5 months ago.
What does GMP stand for?
Gross maximum price. So this change order is for the 42,703,997, and that's the remainder of the packages. So roofing, drywall, electrical, HVAC, all of the rest of the items that make the building up. So what this change order would do, it would make the total under contract for Metcon J&K joint venture $66,288,666. So that's that portion of it. And if you will, any questions on that so far? If you flip to 3 pages back where it says GMP summary. This is your overall budget. So while all of these dollars aren't in our contract, I wanted to present to the board where the total project at as a whole. So the top 2 line items there, if you guys are there, the page looks like this. Went 1 too many, I think. Couple more back. Couple more back.
Oh.
Right, you go. Yeah, that's the right one. This one here. So just wanted to kind of, and this follows your needs-based grant and then the funds that were allocated by the Hope County Commissioner. So your construction grant there is listed as the $50 million. The Hope County funds committed as part of that grant are the $28,406,025. So that gives you a total funding sources of $78,406. As you kind of go down the rest of these categories, these aren't items that are in the joint ventures contract, but they're part of the project. So construction material testing, special inspections, commissioning services, surveying, geothermal test wells. Some of these items have already been committed. I can't speak to that because it's not in our contract, but they've already been done. And then your next category there is your owner contracted services. That's earlier what they were speaking about, Mr. Barath, some of the things he'd be managing. So furniture, fixtures, and equipment. That dollar there is from quotes provided previously through vendors such as, I think you spoke about your furniture contract a couple board meetings ago. And then your technology and security equipment servers, that's the rest of it, right? So your clear touch boards, the racks that go in there, cameras, things of that nature. So that number's there. There's a summary there of those totals. This legal easements fees was money that was set aside in the original grant proposal for what it sounds like legal services associated with getting easements signed and other items. The next kind of category there is SFLA's contract that you're already under contract for. So the 5,462 and then reimbursable costs and then that subtotals.
You get down to the bottom half, which is the joint ventures contract is the construction trade subtotal and then fees, escalation contingencies for that grand total of the 66,288, 665. And if you reference back to that first change order page we talked about, the execution of that change order for 42,703 is what brings us to that total there. Is there any questions kind of so far on that? Okay. So with that being said, the overall project, including us and the other pots of money that are set aside for those other items I talked about, is $81,251 under the project funding sources. So the project is under budget by that amount. Okay. So if you flip past that summary page we were just on, to this summary here, and there's a lot on here, so I apologize that it's in fine print. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the screen. This is a summary of all the bid packages here. So you see off on the left-hand side, the ones that we're already under contract for, say GMP 1, and that's what was previously presented to the board and signed off on. The rest of the line items throughout, so millwork, doors, frames, and hardware, the rest of the packages, right, that create a school, that is what we did in GMP 2. So let's kind of walk through the process real quick about these bids. Take responsible low bidders, get them in. We sit down and scope them, go through the project drawings, make sure they have everything included, right? And we determine the low responsible bidder, and these are the numbers that make up this package here that's in front of you. So then if you kind of go down the rest of the items, this talks about reimbursables. So tree removal for primary line, that's the work you've seen going on out here recently. Utility connection, transformer fees, different items here that equal those CM reimbursables. Temporary parking lot, which is one item, you know, once this gets approved, we can go ahead and move the current parking lot that's next to the tennis courts over to the location by the softball field and the band marching field. But this is how it's all broken down. I don't know, you guys have a lot. Is there any specific questions on this page you'd like to go over about what makes up the project, what's where? Okay. And if you want to circle back, we'll circle back at any time. If you flip to the next page where it says GMP schedule of allowances, this is just to let everyone know what allowances are in the specific cost of, work for the specific trade packages. So as an example, in the signage trade package, there's an environmental graphic design allowance for $100,000. So that allowance is to put vinyl wall graphics on the wall that Michael and his team will work with staff and the Board of Education. So whether that's a picture of a buck or, a collage of, past sports people, whatever that is, that's part of that step. And this page is just letting you know what those different allowances are that are included within those numbers prior. Okay. I'll also note at the bottom down here, these ones that speak to demo and abatement, this was the base numbers for allowances that were included in the demolition number. So there were certain items that are known from your previous reports that Mr. Scott gave to us, but we know typically that we find other items that aren't identified, so we had them hold those allowances in their numbers. If those allowances aren't used, they're returned back to the owner's contingency. Okay. If you flip to the next page, the title of that is GMP alternate summary. What is included here? So when we bid projects, in order to make sure that we can stay on budget, we know we got to have a roof. We know we have to have walls and windows, right? But there's those desirable items that you don't necessarily have to have. So we have those bid as an alternate. So when the subcontractors fill their bid out, like as an example on number 1, there was a base for athletic equipment, and then there was an alternate to go to the owner preferred cost. So those are laid out, and as our last session with staff, these were the alternates that were accepted and are included in our GMP number. So the first one there is for the specific basketball goals for basketball backstops. If you skip down the weight, and so the other thing is locks, latches, exit devices, closers. All of those were listed as alternates, but the low bidder said they were at no additional cost. You're not paying for those. Those are included in the base cost. The next item there is an owner preferred faucet. So it's a specific kind of faucet that doesn't require battery changes as much. So it's easier on the maintenance side. It uses a turbine inside of it. Same with the flush valves there. Skipping down to the water coolers, that was no additional cost. The solar PV system, that was not an accepted alternate. Bus chargers, car chargers were also not accepted alternates. Alternate number 6, your curtain wall. That's a specific curtain wall that looks a little bit more sleek. It doesn't have, like if you look at your windows right there, you can see your vertical mullions. That specific alternate from the outside, you just see the glass coming together, so it has a little sleeker look to it. The interior wall panel systems, what that is I think you've all seen some of the renderings. When you come into the main lobby, off to the left, there's a 2-story kind of section in the middle of the building that segregates the dining from the classroom areas, and that alternate is to put the wood veneer paneling around it. So that alternate was accepted. The direct digital control system is your BAS system. So it's that remote system that allows, the AC to be bumped up for a game that's coming up, and if someone leaves their lights on, turn those off. So that was who you're currently using, and that alternate was accepted. Number 9 was not accepted. That was an alternate to leave some of the demolished, crushed material from the demolition on site, but you'd have a big pile of rock sitting on site, so that was a wise one not to take. So after kind of going through that, I know I went quickly. Does anyone have any questions on that?
What's the difference between the faucet and the water cooler?
So the water coolers, let me adjust my eyes real quick.
Do you remember when we went, Chad, down to Myrtle Beach and
St. James, I think you just.
Is it that you could just put your water?
Correct. So they have the water filler. This was just a specific brand, but the bidder who was the low bidder said it was no additional cost on that.
Okay.
So you have that with no additional cost. Like as an example, just on your door hardwares, when they bid it, if they get the pricing back and it's not anything additional, they put that there's no additional cost. So that's included in their base bid. But to kind of go back and answer your question on the faucets, that specific bidder who was low priced that alternate and said, if you accept it, it'll cost an extra $19,000 for us to provide that. And we discussed that with staff, and they said that was something. Yeah.
You never have to change the battery. The turbine of the water going through keeps the battery recharged in there so that we're not sending maintenance people out replacing batteries all over a lot of folks just assume that everything's just automatic, but it either has a battery or it has the other.
So how I'm curious, how did you get from 78 to just 66 or?
So to clarify that, my contract is for the 66. It is included in that summary page that is right behind.
Okay.
It's like page 3. So there's all, like SFLA's contract, these reimbursables for construction material testing for your furniture, that's not in my contract.
Oh, okay.
That's
That's what I said, we lost 16 rooms. Lost 16 classrooms.
So this is total project budget.
Yes.
Okay. If that was told, I was like, oh, we can go back.
No, unfortunately not. Any more questions on the alternate page? Any more clarity needed there? The page after that is the hub summary. So these are just first tier subcontractors that are hub certified. There will be more percentages coming from second and third tier subcontractors when those are identified. That process works where when we get our contract back from GMP, we go to contract with the subcontractors, and then they inform us about all their secondary material suppliers, truck drivers, everything else who are hub certified, and that gets added to that total. And we work with them. Let's say, for example, there's a truck driver for the site work company who is able to be qualified but hasn't done that yet. Our hub director, Jason Deans, will help them get qualified to drive those numbers up. So you can see there, the way it works, this is figured just on total cost of work. We don't report it this way, but Metcon is also a hub certified firm, so that technically all of it is hub. But this is just for your subcontractors there. Any questions on that? Okay. The rest of these going through, you let me know how fast or if you want to go through them, but these are just the bid tabs from the different subcontractors who presented their bids. So from general trades to final cleaning, demo and abatement. Do you guys want to go through page by page or?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. So that is in the book. Kind of the next step to let you know where we're at. We are, we have a couple permits we're waiting on, but hopefully they're all coming back next week. So that structure will start, that site work will start, but until this GMP is executed, can't put conduits in the ground, kind of slow down the progress. So this is a time sensitive approval. So. I think kind of to summarize it all up, at the end of a long 1-year process, the project's on budget and ready to go.
Okay. I'm just waiting on them. Just waiting to say something.
Madam Chair? Would you like a motion?
Oh, no, not right now. So you said that we are $81,251.59 under.
Yes, ma'am.
So, where I was at, because in the beginning, like Rosa was saying, that we had taken away 16 classes in order for us to get back on budget. So now we're at 81,000 under budget. So what happened for us to come that far under budget?
I think market conditions are part of that. I think in terms of a cost per square foot, that would be like a fraction of a classroom. I think going back to part of it, the original grant proposal, which again, I didn't write, but we were given a copy of, was for roughly 140,000 square feet. When we were brought on board and did our initial estimate, that square footage had grown close to 160,000 square feet, which is what had driven that cost up, which is why those classrooms were cut. The current square footage is around 144,000 square feet. So at that point in time when that price was given, the project had grown in scope beyond what the original estimate was, and that kind of brought it back into what was originally proposed in terms of square footage, which for us and the CM at risk side is what drives cost, is size of building.
Okay. I'm just hoping that it's not gonna affect us down the road. It just seems strange. So, y'all agree, no more questions?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the GMP, package for Hope County School replacement project.
Second.
Motion on the floor to, approve the Hope County High School project. And second, any more questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your evening.
The next item we have is 1789 Consulting Group Incorporated, contract for transition services. You got that attachment?
No, I'm good. I can see it.
And I will, this is the contract for Dr. Shotwell to provide up to 5 days of transition services to Dr. Spells when he starts in January. As we discussed, we're going to do this through Dr. Shotwell's organization. I think there were discussion about business, for Dr. Shotwell. This is a better, option. Cost is the same. Dr. Spells did request these services, through his attorney back in November, or actually earlier than November. We're in November now. So when, Rob Malone was still, and Barrington Smith was still working with the board, when you approved Dr. Shotwell's, first amendment, his first extension of his contract, it did provide for these 5 days of services. This is just formalizing that agreement and how he will be paid. We have drafted it so that it has the protections that the board needs when it comes to background checks, those types of things. Not that Dr. Shotwell has been doing anything untoward for the last couple of months, but this is what this is. And happy to answer any questions about the terms of this. There is a not to exceed amount, so we are capped at 5 days of those transition services. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, I do have a question. So it's not a conflict of interest for Dr. Shotwell, right?
No, Dr. Shotwell is not voting on the approval of the contract. Yeah, so the board is.
But he brought the contract to us while he's the interim superintendent.
You guys were gonna do it with him anyway, and it was requested by Dr. Spells.
So is that in Dr. Spell's contract?
It's not in Dr. Spell's contract, but I have an email communication that confirms he wants assistance transitioning into the district from Joe Wilson, his attorney.
Can we have that? Can you forward it?
Yeah, I can share that with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, I would like to see, I didn't know he needed, but I didn't know he had asked for it.
Yeah, there was some conversation. Again, I was not part of that firsthand. It was Mr. Malone when Barrington was working with you and his conversations with Joe Wilson, who was representing Dr. Spells during the contract negotiations. But I think the thought process behind that is Dr. Spells has not been in North Carolina for, he graduated from here. I think he grew up in Bladen County, if I'm not mistaken. So getting him accustomed to North Carolina coming from Illinois, which does have a teachers union. There are a lot of differences between Illinois and North Carolina, but I'm happy to share that with you all. And if anyone has heard anything differently about that, please let me know. But that was what I was operating under. So if there's been communication, let me know that request is no longer, if that's the case, if someone's heard differently.
I haven't heard differently. I'm just asking a question because when I look at the contract, it's $5,446.90. And I sit here as no disrespect.
None taken.
Because I really do appreciate everything you're doing and how you're doing it. But I think about Dr. Shotwell when he came on board, he didn't have a consultant, nobody to consult with him about how the district, I really thought about this long and hard. $5,000 may seem as though it's not a lot of money, but I'm sitting here thinking about this, when I came on as a board member, for Hope County, West Hope Middle School needs blinds. It's never been, installed. People can think what they want to, but we say kids first. So we could take this money maybe and use it to do that. No disrespect to Dr. Shotwell, because he's been awesome. And I just think that Dr. Spells, by him being a veteran experience, and we have people in the district that led Dr. Shotwell to do the things he did, those same people could assist Dr. Spells, and we could save money. That's just Ms. Blue.
Madam Chair. Dr. Shotwell's amendment, it provided for those 5 days, right?
The original amendment, that Rod Malone had you all execute that extended him out through the 31st of October. I can pull it up just to double check, but I believe those services are in there, yes.
Oh, can we verify that? Because
If you give me just 2
I
seconds.
remember talking about that we had agreed to that, about, because we asked, we sent I want to say we requested a message be sent to, Dr. Spells, if he was okay, for X amount of days for the intern to stay, and he was the one that, said yes. So if it is already in Dr. Shotwell's amendment, and it's just a matter of, I'm assuming it's for tax purposes, we're still paying the same amount. We just modifying the terms so it can benefit Dr. Shotwell as far as tax purposes.
But it wasn't in the contract.
In the amendment, that you guys approved, back in September, it provides, the parties also agree that Dr. Shotwell may provide up to 5 days of transition services for Dr. Kenneth Spells between November 1 and 7, 2023. Dr. Spell's compensation for any transition services, and I think that was an error in the version I have. It should say Dr. Shotwell's compensation for any transition services shall be calculated on a daily basis based upon the contract's monthly compensation rate, which is how we ended up with the $5,000 figure.
So without doing this, we were already paying this amount anyways, right?
When Dr. Spells changed his start date, we had to move everything back, and the conversation was had that for tax purposes, we would have these transition services provided by 1789 Consulting Group.
Right, I remember that. I mean, I myself, Madam Chair, don't see a problem with this. Reading between the lines, it appears it's more for beneficial for tax purposes. If we're already paying the same amount on the amendment, I don't see, we already obligated for those dates, are we not?
Is it for tax purposes or is it for?
It's for Dr. Shotwell's.
We're not talking about Dr. Spells, we're talking about Dr.
Dr. Spells, we're talking about Dr. Shotwell's benefit. It was discussed and decided that we would propose it go through 1789 Group because he can help use it as his business. That was the conversation. Now, can you clarify your question for me?
Yes, I can. I'm just saying to benefit Dr. Spells, I know he's been, like you said, superintendent in a whole nother state, but he has not been in North Carolina. And so that email that he actually asked for some assistance, I think that will, for me, clear it out.
And I'm happy to share that. I will share it via email tomorrow. but it came in, it was in September prior to the execution of the amendment. Now, you have not already paid for those extra 5 days of services because we had to extend Dr. Shotwell's contract. There was a change in Dr. Spell's start date. So you have not expended that $5,000. Instead, Dr. Shotwell has been here as your acting superintendent. We amended his contract again to extend it out to December 31st. So those transition services are contemplated to begin when Dr. Spells begins, which is January 3rd.
Can we do this? Can I just make a motion to table this to December? So is that fair to everybody? Yeah. So I move to table, Dr. Shotwell's, what is it? Cause I don't have.
1789 Consulting Group.
1789 Consulting Group issue to December contract to December meeting.
Motion on the floor to table Dr. Shotwell's 1789 Consulting Group contract until the December's meeting. It's been second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next on the agenda is the 2023-2024 budget resolution. This is by Ms. Reed.
Good afternoon, it's me again. Good
Yeah,
evening.
man, she's smiling now.
Okay, before we get started, I would like to share some information with you all. Some of you already know, but just to make it clear for everyone else. When you look at this page and you see 5,000 series, that is for teachers and students, things that we use for those. Okay, when we get to the 6,000 series, that's for program leadership, the support and development of that. And so for the 7,000 series, that's the ancillary departments like child nutrition. So anything from 5,000 up is an expense. Anything from 4,999 down is a revenue. Okay, so the revenues and the expenses should equal out to each other. So I just wanted to share that with you, so when I go through, you won't be looking at me. Okay, so tonight I'm hoping that we will be able to adopt this Hope County Board of Education budget resolution for 2023-2024. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Hope County Schools Administrative Unit. Section 1, the following amounts are hereby appropriated for the operation of the school administrative unit in the state public school fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. So when we look at the instructional programs, the 5,000, we have 63,150,590.13 cents. Supporting services, which is the 6,000 series, $10,124,214.72. For the supporting services, $50,759.15, which the total state school fund appropriated is $73,325,564. So, section 2, the following revenues are estimated to be available to the state public school fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023, ending June 30th, 2024. So these are revenues. In the 3100 series, allocations from state public school funds is $73,325,564, which balances off for the expenses. Section 3, the following amounts are hereby appropriated for the operation of the school administrative unit in the local current expense fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, ending June 30th, 2024. For the instructional programs, we have $525,799.97. For support and development services, $5,199,024.03. And for non-program charges, is $872,676. And the total current expense fund is $6,597,500. And what breaks that up, if we look at the revenues, we have given our county appropriation was $6,412,500, and our fines and forfeitures are expected to be $187,000. And like it says, that one sometimes that fluctuates, that number, that last number. The following amounts are hereby appropriated for the operation of school administrative unit in the federal grant for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. So for the 5,000 series, we have $12,833,849.08. For the support and 6,000 series, we have $2,401,230.51. And there's none for the auxiliary, but in the 8,000 series is the payments to other government units and transfer to funds, $901,488.21. So the total for the federal grant is $16,136,567.80. And if you look down below, it breaks down how that has come about. So for all of the funds in federal that we have, like PRC 017, and it breaks it down, because I know all of you can read, so I'm not gonna. So this breaks down what the PRC, the program code is, and what it's for. So just so you know, we're finished with our ESSER 2, but we're following up and spending out all that money. And then the ESSER 3 is what's left that we have until the end of this fiscal school year to spend. So the total grant for the revenues and expenses both total $16,136,567.80. Okay, so section 7, the following amounts are hereby appropriated for the operation of the school administrative unit in the capital outlay expense fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. Instructional programs, we have $77,536,681.04. And in the 8,000 series, payments to other government units and transfer of funds, $570,000. The total capital outlay fund appropriation is $78,106,681. Yes.
Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
the 8,000, what's that, 574? 57?
We, we pay charter schools.
I just wanted to verify that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So section 8, the following revenues are estimated to be available to the capital outlay expenses fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. And that's all the revenue codes, and it equals to the expenses, $78,106,681.04. Now, if I'm speaking too fast, y'all,
Yes,
slow me
you
down.
Too late now.
She got an auction going on.
I'm so sorry. So section 8, the following amounts are hereby appropriated for the operation of the school administrative unit in the school food service expense fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. And so for our child nutrition, and there, like I said, there are the auxiliary funds. So they're in the 7,000 and 8,000 series. So they have 5,900,000 and 300,000 in the 8,000 series. So for the total school food services appropriation is 6,200,000. So section 10 is the following revenues are estimated to be available to the school food service expense fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. In their revenue code, they have $6,200,000. Section 11, the following amounts are hereby appropriated for the operation of the school administrative unit in the child care expense fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. And this is our after-school care services, and that is in and out. So we expect that we normally make about $300,000, and we pay out $300,000, we accept $300,000. All appropriations shall be paid first from revenues restricted as to use, and second from general unrestricted revenues. Section 14, the following amounts are hereby appropriated for the operation of the school administrative unit in the other restricted expense fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. For the 5,000 series, we have $3,035,592.81. In the 6,000 series, we have $1,469,272.40. And the supporting 7,000 series, we have $41,468.24. And non-program 8,000 series, we have $5,557.59. So our other restricted expense fund appropriation is $4,551,891.04. So, section 15, the following revenues are estimated to be available to the other restricted expense funds for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024. And with all the revenues code, it totals $4,551,891.04. The superintendent is hereby authorized to transfer appropriations under the following conditions. Amounts may be transferred between functions of the same purpose of the same fund, with a monthly report of such transfers provided to the Board of Education at its next regular meeting and entered in the board minutes. Amounts may be transferred between sub-functions and objects of expenditures within a function without limitations and without a report to the Board of Education being required. Amounts may be transferred between purposes within a fund without Board of Education approval. Amounts may not be transferred between funds without Board of Education and Board of County Commission approval. Amounts may be transferred in state or federal projects upon prior approval of the appropriate funding agency. If such transfers require Board of Education approval under other provisions and this resolution, a monthly summary of each such transfers must be reported to the Board of Education at its next regular monthly meeting.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Ms. Richardson.
Yes, sir.
Can't keep up with you. I'm just kidding. Item number 4, should that say county commissioners?
It says Board of Education and Board of County Commissioners approval.
It says, I should read it as county commission. It don't say county commissioners.
Okay, it says County Commission approval.
So it
He's
should,
talking about the spelling.
Oh, well, it's the county, the commission is the body. It's all in one body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to verify, because I don't think it's the county commission. I don't think that's correct.
Okay.
What do you think it is?
Commissioner.
I think it's
You want to say commissioners?
Commissioners, the board of commissioners. That's what it is.
I'm saying commission is like one person. Is that the
Commission, nowhere in there it says, county commission, it's county commissioners, the board of county commissioners. In our case, it's the, Board of Education. So, just type, I mean, if it is, it is, if it's not, it's not, but
It should be commissioners. That's how they label themselves on their website, Board of County Commissioners. That's an easy fix.
Yeah, we fix it.
Okay.
Okay, so B says, accept the following appropriations with a monthly summary of such appropriations reported to the Board of Education at its next regular monthly meeting. State appropriations, federal appropriations, categorical program appropriations, and/or other appropriations upon prior approval of the Board of Education. Copies of the budget resolution shall be immediately furnished to the superintendent and school finance officer for direction in carrying out their duties. And we're hoping that it's adopted on this 7th day of November, 2023.
So, Ms. Richardson, on the, part where it was saying, let me see, let me find it. Oh, payments to other governmental units and transfers. So when you mentioned that, that is, talking about the charter school.
Charter schools.
Charter schools.
And if we had to, for any reason, that if we had to pay other LEAs or anybody outside that we, that's not considered like a bill.
Do we pay private schools?
Do we do what? They have, if they have our children going to their school, then they're.
Private schools?
Oh, private schools, no.
Okay. I was saying, so private school is a lot of money.
No, no, I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Not private
So the
schools.
private schools have the $500 million in opportunity scholarships, so.
I know.
Okay.
Man, what?
And just so you know, they changed the way we pay charter schools, so now they, after the lawsuit, everything that went through court, we have to now be more transparent, and there's forms that we have to fill out. So if you guys would like to see that, I can email you a copy of that form.
And we also ask them to certify
That they
the
have those
students each
programs.
month,
Do they have
so
a
that we
system?
pay.
Yes.
Yeah,
So if the
they
student's
want our
not
money.
there, they're not getting the local, a portion of it.
And if they don't have junior ROTC, then they don't get that junior ROTC.
Okay, I think that, any more questions for her?
And I'll fix that, change the commission. Thank you.
I was trying to stop Scott, cause he got a cold in here now. I got a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the 2023-2024 budget resolution.
Correction.
Put the minor typo.
That you pointed out. That was a.
Just say it.
That you pointed out.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor, and it's been second to approve the whole county board of education budget resolution 2023-2024. All in favor say aye.
Second?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You never heard him second, do you?
I was in a war. No, sorry.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. So, let's see, I think this all right, so we're about to go into a closed session.
I don't have,
Here you go. So go ahead. Catherine, go ahead.
So Catherine has no choice now but to leave.
That's the thing. Where did it come
I move to go into closed session for the following reasons: to consider confidential personnel information protected under the North Carolina General Statutes, 143-318-11A1 and A3, to consider the initial matters related to initial employment of individual employees pursuant to North Carolina General Statutes 143-318-11A6, and to consult with the Board of Education attorney and preserve the attorney-client privilege as provided in North Carolina General Statutes 143-318-11A and 3.
Got a motion on the floor to go into closed session. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed?